But what's the impact? The impact is missing maybe because we have not localized them. Localized and also personalized. Localized in the sense that all our sessions, whether religious or non-religious, the community level, not only the NGOs, including your own personal life, let's be minimalists. Minimalist in the sense that you don't have to always try to accumulate the whole kind of thing. Possessions. That's in my own perspective, that's the lower level of sustainability itself. Not all the time you should always go for the latest. Although this is a kind of choice, you say it's my choice, I have the money, yes. But why not reconsider the effect, the impact of acquisition on the earth at large? These resources are actually limited. There's this, recently there was a program at one of the events on the university where they said that, do we know what is the American dream? Anyone knows what is the American dream? Yeah? People traveling to the US say we're going for the American dream. American dream is all about acquisition, enjoying all the ways of the world. If everyone on earth wants to enjoy the American dream, live the American dream, we might be having, or we might be needing 4 or 5 times the current resources and current space of the earth. Is it possible? No. So that is why, in my opinion, to answer the question, we need to be minimalists. We need to be sustainable in living. The water here, if we are to drink it, yeah, it cannot take all of us. Just look at the water in that cup as the kind of the quantity of water we have on earth. It's limited. So that's how I think we can go down to the level and practice it in every level we have, beyond the big English that everyone has been saying.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Omoola. Dr. Auwal, I want to ask you, now we talk about collaborations. We talk about involving people from the economy, from the society. So if I'm not mistaken, when we look at the NGOs in Nigeria, well, I think there are more than the number of citizens in the country. So now, what do you think? Or do you think the prolifications of this NGO can help us achieve these SDG, these Sustainable Development Goals? Because as Doctor mentioned the other time, she said that we collaborate with people. We have NGOs that are in charge of cleaning the mosque, cleaning the gutter. They are sourcing for funds to end hunger. We have NGOs in charge of sourcing for funds to pay for hospital patients that cannot afford it. So, but at the same time, we have to go back and think about it, because recently the federal government enacted, should I say enacted? The KAMA. So can I call it enact or what? Or enact? How do I say that? Okay, new legislation on KAMA. Now we see people clamoring, we don't want this, we don't want that. You are NGO, you say it's not for profit. And the government is saying, okay, these are the regulations, and we are disagreeing. So, disagreeing, NGO, can they achieve the SDG goal?
Thank you so much for this very, very difficult question. But before I answer, I think I agree with the Prof that we need the coordination. Government alone can never achieve the SDGs in Nigeria. We all know this. But coming back to your question, I think the thing we lack right now is the definition of these SDGs. NGOs, the government, and all the organizations have to understand what really SDGs mean. Can I ask this question? What is the definition of SDG, Sustainable Development? Yeah, from the floor. What is the definition of Sustainable Development? Say. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Anybody telling us what
what's the definition?
Your own language.
Yes, Mr. President.
My understanding is that it's about preserving the resources now for present use and also for those coming in the future to actually use their same resources without either generation actually suffering any backlash?
Very good. This is actually some of the definitions, and it is very, very important. Why? Because you need to educate people what they want to achieve. Okay, we just want to develop ourselves, or we are also at the same time developing ourselves and also thinking of the development of the future generation. So that is the actual definition of sustainable development. And don't tell me that I'm going to preach again. This is actually invented from the Umar radiallahu anh. All these definitions that I saw this, I think, by a Ukraine professor. She gives this definition, but it's actually from Umar radiallahu anh. You can be surprised. Umar radiallahu anh, he actually changed the landscape, or he changed the whole system. You know, before, if there is a war and the Muslims actually took over any nation, any place, the thing that will happen is that they will divide the land to all the combatant. So when Umar, the Abdul Sawad, you know, when you read through the Sharia, you understand what is Abdul Sawad. Abdul Sawad is a very important land, which is agricultural land, a very big one. It's conquered during the Umar radiallahu anh. So what happens? These lands are Iraq lands, Syrian lands. If you say Syria, it means Jordan, Syria itself, and Palestine, and also Egyptian land. All these lands were conquered during Umar. So he think, if I divided this land and give it to the combatant, what the rest of the people will get? The future generation. And this is a very fertile land for agriculture. He said, I will not give it to the combatant. Some companions say, no, we have to follow what has been practiced before us. He said, no, because he has seen the possible economic crisis that will happen in the future generation. So he said, this land, it will remain to the people, to all Muslims. That's why I sometimes joke with some of the Iraqi students and friends. I said, this land is owned by all Muslims, not for all of you. Because it's actually given by Umar radiallahu anh to every Muslim. And the Palestinian land issue also will come. This land is owned by all Muslims, not only the Palestinians. And this is very important. So the definition of sustainable development actually comes from Umar radiallahu anh. So coming back to your questions, NGOs, they need to have, or the government itself, we need to educate people. We need to see how we can also understand what actually sustainable development goals mean, so that we can go on and we can achieve. Without the education, I think it's very difficult. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Just briefly. Regarding the NGOs and the regulation on the Companies and Allied Matters Act, one of the main issues is regarding the need to check all companies. Whether we like it or not, NGOs are companies. But what kind of company? They are not for profit. But when not for profits are being used as a vehicle for corruption, this is where the problem lies. Churches, mosques, they are also not for profit. But in a way, they are benefiting themselves from it. And it has also become a vehicle for amassing unjust wealth. And that is why the government is trying. The laws were there before. They were there, but it appears that it's not clearly spelled. So, and the government said, okay, now we want to make it clearer, and we want to play our role by saying that we can remove any of the trustee of the NGOs. All NGOs have their trustees. So when you're removing, and the reason why you can remove them is when they have misused the money kept with them. And for your information, some of this money comes from the UN, or from donor agencies, or from individuals. And if you can see, poverty is one of the key items under the SDG. When corruption is very rife in a society, you are indirectly importing poverty. And also specifically on the northeast, northeastern Nigeria, where there is a Boko Haram issue, the NGOs want to make sure that the conflict continue, so that they will continue to get money to enrich themselves. So that has the need to check them so that they will be able to stop this kind of thing, the war or whatever we go down. And when there's no war, SDG is already been achieved. So these are some of the links, and I think the government will be successful in this itself.
Okay.
Sorry, I just want to complete the Omar story. He actually he has given the reason why he said that. He looked at that ayah in Surah Al-Hashr. وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. He said, those who come after us, after the Sahaba, that is us, right? That is us. They will be saying, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا, Allah forgive us. وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. And those are our friends and our, the founding fathers, those who started the religion. So he said, if these people who are coming after us, they will continue praying for us, that means they also have something that we should preserve for them. This ayah I can see is the backbone of the sustainable development from the Islamic perspective.
Thank you so much. You can see Dr. Auwal is giving us Islamic perspective, maybe because we are in the International Islamic University, and he's one of our alumni and our lecturer here. Thank you so much. I think I will send the next question to Prof. The other time we talked about UI, University of Ibadan, trying to champion some particular sustainable development move, solution like that. So now considering SDG also is a part of education, right? And at the moment, Nigeria, FG, that's the federal government, and ASU, I cannot define that. Also, the state of our infrastructure in the university. So we have seen also NGOs also trying to proliferate into the university to say that we're going to do this, we're going to do that. NGO is not for profit, but we have discovered recently that they are making more profit. So what do you think? The present state of our educational sector and your suggestion towards redirecting education for sustainable development in our country. So what are the roles of the educational institutions, lecturers, academic community as a whole, and the top management, the Ministry of Education, and all those things? So what do you think they can fit in place to make this education sustainable, in the sense that when we get to anywhere, we can be able to say, I've learned this, and we are not going to be learning maybe on the paper and go to elsewhere to see the machine itself. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I think that's the most easiest to do. Yes, when we talk about educating, the only thing is probably we're not channeling it in the correct way. For example, this COVID-19 has taught us that we can learn anywhere. Yeah, I can be in my room and doing interviews with ustaz from Saudi Arabia. So it means learning with no borders now. So I feel the education sector are even the easiest to go about. Like starting from the e-learning. Though in our own country, yes, the infrastructure is very, very important. But I think there is a way we can also do it, if seriously we want to do it. I can take IIUM as an example. This COVID-19, as I've said, it taught us a lot of things because nobody prepared for this thing. It's like, as it comes, we try to decide. But SDG is something that we can even plan ahead. So this brings me to giving back to the society through education. This it's a kind of forum. I forgot the meaning. It was led by my late husband, Alayhi Arham, Prof. Suleiman. They started this 2000. I think it was around 2001 or so. Visiting, giving back home. what they need that time is just discuss with the VC over there, talk to them that, okay, I'm coming for my summer. All you need is to provide me a letter to come, because I need to like register it in IUM that, okay, I'm going for, even though then it was not even mobility. It was like you're taking your leave for like 6 weeks during the short semester. So they just need a letter that, okay, so that I can register it here, part of my KPI also, go back there, and we help you to develop students, we help you to develop your staff, your curriculum, and I can say this, that gave birth to most of our Nigerian brothers here in IUM. It's that seed that, okay, we go, they don't believe that, oh, because it's a bearded man, who starts in engineering. So he started bringing in people, and those people start bringing Ramusa, Ibino, and we have a lot of them. I mean, no need to mention names. So this is what I think as a starting point, trying to give back. If you go back home, like seminar, yes, go to the school, tell them that, okay, this is what I can do. Last time I went to one VC, I said, okay, this is what I can do this. Just give me that chance to come. Because some of our VCs or some of our management over there, they also don't understand. You need to like let them, yes, they think maybe you want to take something. Yeah, on a serious note. But if you said, okay, I'm coming for free, possibly just give me accommodation. Because I remember that time, Prof normally requests for accommodation because I'm going to stay on campus. For 6 weeks, they will complete a syllabus, train young lecturers, and like show them, okay, this is how some of us don't know, will I be able to do PhD? Can I go for further studies? They don't know, they just remain as assistant lecturer for life. So this is, I think, through education. Education is just like the simplest way we can, it's no more alive now, but I know those who have gone through that, it's SDG, we don't have that name then. They're still alive now and trying to, I mean, you know, it's like it's a revolving, yes. So you train somebody, another person train, and from there we can have, if everybody is well educated, I know what I'm supposed to do, you know what you're supposed to do, this society will become, yeah, perfect. So that's sustainable, I mean, because it's sustainable to do better. Sorry, you must be Yoruba. That's sustainable if you're
Thank you so much, Prof. I think I want to go to Dr. Sodiq Omoola. My question to you is that, what do you think, or what are the expected roles and contributions of individual groups, and community in diaspora to achieve strong peace and justice institution in Nigeria? I'm asking this because I know that's what you can give us the series as well.
Okay, we can, without going too far, the role of communities in diaspora in ensuring peace and justice. I'll be more specific on the practical aspects. Number one, what are the issues we are having globally, not only Nigeria? One of the main problems is the issue of fake news. In order to ensure that there is peace and justice, we should ensure that we are not harbingers of fake news. And if you see some of the news being spread around, you see that some of them emanate from the diaspora. I mean, unfortunately, and it's not supposed to be so. The fact that we are academics, and in fact, most of the diaspora community of Nigerians, I don't know of any other country, US, UK, they are elitists in nature, academic, knowledgeable people. So we shouldn't be a source of causing disputes or havoc or crisis back home. So the issue of fake news is very important. If you see someone posting something that can cause fire back home, make sure you give them a warning. We don't have any other country. Those countries that are in crisis nowadays, it started from just a simple news or a simple rumor. So that's one aspect. The practical aspect of ensuring peace and justice, I think we have been mentioning that over and over. Poverty has something to do with peace and justice. Where there is corruption, peace and justice is being threatened. Where infrastructure is not adequate, peace and justice is being threatened because people will be angry. So the whole spectrum of SDG itself helps to ensure that there is peace and justice. When there is inequality, peace and justice will be threatened. So this is our role as members of the diaspora. But more specific and more important at this time is the issue of fake news. So let's take care of this, and we can solve a lot of problems with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister and Doctor. So, Dr. Auwal. Okay. What do you think, in your opinion and suggestion, the media role in the sustainable of the SDG goals, and how can we integrate the media into this SDG? The other time we talked about education. I'm sure that for us to pass education about SDG, we can use our media. So how do you think we can integrate the media into SDG for education, for dissemination, for equality, for all those things, a partnership? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you that you asked me about the media, but although I'm not an expert in the media, but it's a very unique thing that we have today is social media. Social media is not in place 10 years before, I think, is it? So this is one of the unique things that we have today. And in a matter of minutes, you post something, it can reach to hundreds of thousands of people. Of course, if we can use this channel to educate first the people on SDGs, that would be very helpful and important. But there is one thing that I think we should understand. These SDGs should actually preserve the value of our religion and our dignitaries. We are not just talking about development of this world, but also how to maintain our life after this world. So there are some SDGs or some concepts attached to these SDGs, which are actually, as Rector, Honorable Rector talked, he says we need to input some Islamic aspect of them. We need to, put the spirituality aspect. We need to understand them. I can give you one of the examples. Maybe later we'll talk about equality, so Prof is here. But when you talk about equality, there are so many things that will come according to Islamic perspective. How it's going to happen. Yes, we are all equal in the Muslim society. Allah give all this. We are all equal in terms of religion and in terms of their response. But in terms of responsibilities, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. So we have to input, to insert all these values to understanding the SDGs. So media campaign is very, very important. In Nigeria now, social media is very good. Also local radios, TVs, and many other channels are very, very important for disseminating the idea about the SDGs. I don't know, I would like to talk about the zero hunger, but zero hunger. I think this is the SDG number 2. I don't know if you were gonna ask me about this. If not, then we'll talk later. SDG number 2 is very, very important, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Why it is important? Nigeria, we actually have a very, very huge underutilized land, which is mostly in the north. We need to, especially the diasporans, we have to think further. How can we help in developing this land to actually serve the humanity in terms of agriculture? We should do something. Even if you are not in the agricultural education, but you can actually assist. If you are from the finance, you can help in terms of strategizing how to finance the agriculture in Nigeria. If you are from engineering, like Prof, you will think of what kind of technology is available today to help develop the agriculture. Because being hungry, or they said every hungry man is an angry man, right? So we have to actually do something about this. And I think those who created SDGs are very clever people, because they put this at the top. Because if you are hungry, then peace is reached already. Those who are hungry, they try to eat, because if you want to live in this world, you have to eat, right? 3 times at least. For somebody who cannot get food to eat, what do you expect from him? So some people, they just think otherwise, so they go and rob, they go and take other people's property, they're involved in corruption, criminalities, because they want to eat. That was the first thing that a human being needs. So actually, I'm advising, if we can have some integrated, ideas, this is very important. And this government, I think they are listening. I can remember one of the Higher Commission, what's his name, I forgot. He said, if you from UIA here, you can integrate, you can come together, at least 100 PhDs, and come up with a very, very good proposal. The government will listen to you. And I think we are in a position to do that. And I believe Prof also will help in arranging and doing all these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We talked about zero hunger, poverty eradication. So I want to ask Prof, how do you think, or what are your suggestions, considering inequality in Nigeria, the haves and the have-not? The Rector, in his opening remark, in his keynote address, talked about America utilizing resources of about 5 planets. I think it's like more or less like a replica of what we have at the moment in the country, maybe before now or even now. So what do you think? Are you suggesting in the country we can help reduce or eliminate of inequality in kind of resources, achievement, education, and all those things like that? So what are your suggestions? We can eliminate or at least bring this to a balance.
Thank you very much. Inequality, I don't know the angle he wants me to look at it, because we have like inequality in terms of what Mana Auwal said, female, male, okay, that's a different thing. Okay, gender equality, but inequality in terms of, like among ourselves, like some rich, some are poor, all thing boils down to this education, my brother. Yes, you see, if the thing they are using, where most of us are like, quote unquote, being suppressed, is like, possibly number one, you don't know your rights. You don't get the proper education. If you don't get the proper education, some things you don't know that this is like due to you. So obviously, another person will be taking like 3, 4, 5 of yours. Okay? Why? Because they suppress you, and you didn't get the right channel to, acquire that knowledge. So knowledge is like, to me, the way I feel it, knowledge is very, very important, as well as policy also. Policy is another thing, because, for example, let's take Malaysia. We have these developers. They build condos, right? The condominium, they will say, okay, you cannot buy more than maybe 2 units or 3 units. This is actually to reduce inequality. Okay, unemployment, for example, make it a merit base. Merit base, because, for example, if some other countries, they will say, okay, let me see your CV. I don't want to say anything, but I don't want to mention. So who sent you? Who sent you? From which senator are you from? This should not be. If we put the right people there, those who are qualified, who have the knowledge, I think this is also going to reduce the gap of this inequality, because either poor or rich, you are qualifying, then you should be there. So this, I think, in terms of the policy, in terms of who is supposed to own what, and make education easy for people. Seriously, in Malaysia, why they are having this is like almost everybody minimally have secondary school education. And you can see even higher in IPTAs, because among these fellows in Mahalla, there is a survey that says most of the IPTAs, like the higher learning, most of the students there, they are like B40, yeah. The rich ones, possibly you see them in a different. So it means you can see the population of even IIUM. So if like people from the poor background can be educated as to the level of degree, master's, PhD, then inequality is gone. So to me, I think if we have a policy that said, and I think Fashola started that thing. Yes, if you did something on a child going to school going, you're not supposed to start hawking around. You should be in the school. Yes, basic education. So from there, I think if the awareness comes, in Nasarawa State also, I happen to, yes, Kaduna, yes, Kaduna. In fact, my sister is one of those who are benefiting from that NCE. They give them free food. So this is a way of like encouraging both the student and the teachers also to be well educated. If we start from this, I think inequality, inshallah, will be greatly reduced.
I will ask one more question, and we can ask the audience if they have questions. After that, we can proceed, so that we don't just sit down and look at Okay. I will ask Dr. Omoola, how do you think SDGs progresses can be tracked and traced? This is to avoid inventing people. As we said the other time, we have a lot of NGO. What are you doing? Eradicate the hunger in the same environment, but they are causing the hunger. So how do we track their progress, their excesses, and how do we trace what they have done so that somebody else will not be claiming to do the same thing without doing anything? Thank you.
Tracking and tracing. I think the question should not come to me, but I can give an idea. This is a kind of it's a technology solution kind of a thing. But technology can be enabled with laws and regulation. I think this is where I can stand on. So tracking and tracing, or tracking the improvements or the activities or the progress of the NGOs or on the SDG is not a one-cap-fit-all thing. You cannot use the same tracking or method for hunger to track infrastructure. Definitely, they are in different sectors which are more remotely far from each other. So, but we can have a regulation to say that okay, periodically we'll be having survey on this. And to be fair to the government in Nigeria, I think we have there's this survey, household survey, which was released maybe before the COVID-19. So during or before, I can't remember. Just to track that the level of poverty, including family, many kind of data are involved. You can get some of this data on NBS website, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So in a way, some of these things that they are tracking, they are linked with the SDG. So, but it will be difficult to just have one method or one mechanism to track all kind of SDGs. And in terms of tracking, what's the objective? It is not to eradicate completely, it is to reduce. You can only reduce. Even the US and the UK in the advanced world, those who conceptualize these SDGs, they have homeless people sleeping around. So that doesn't mean that they have achieved it, but they have reduced some of these inequalities, hungers, and the likes. And so the audience, can I get a commitment? The commitment is, there are some of these SDGs that you can actually contribute to without spending a penny. Most of the time we talk about the big SDG. For example, you want to solve somebody's hunger, you might need to give some money, right? Or you give half of your food. If you want to follow the hadith of the Prophet that the food that for one person can actually suffice for two. So that means you have to sacrifice part of your money, right? But there are some of these SDGs that you don't need to spend money to achieve it. For example, number 3, which is well-being. Well-being nowadays is linked with issue of mental health and sleeping well and some of these things. Nobody needs to force you to off your phone, switch off the internet and sleep. Nobody needs to do that. You just need to do it by yourself. Because it's only when you are well that you can make others to be well. So can we get a commitment to this kind of thing? How many hours of sleep are we getting every day? If it is not enough, then yourself personally, you are not sustainable. You can die anytime. So if we can have this kind of commitment, that's number 1. The second commitment, which I will want us to commit ourselves to, is the commitment of